Manchester United make a loan offer to Fiorentina to sign Sofyan Amrabat, but that has been rejected. But Man United still remain in the talks with Sofyan Amrabat and Fiorentina to get the Moroccan international at Manchester United for this summer before deadline day, which is fast approaching, guys. And we've also got Cole Palmer to Chelsea, who pull out their secret target. And Manchester City agree a deal with the Blues from West London to get the England youth and the star of England's under-21 European Championships. We've also got Ryan Gravenberch to Liverpool. That is going to be followed with a domino effect as João Palhinha looks like he's heading from West London to Munich. And guys, we're going to be talking about all these transfers and so much more in the Tereak Talking Transfer Show. So don't go anywhere. Get your drinks ready. Get the like button hit as we're about to enter the show. Wagwan, everyone. I hope you're doing well and welcome back to Tereak Talks, guys. As you can see, it's been a long time no see since you've seen this trim, the fresh trim. The hat's been on, the do-rags, everything. I've been down bad, but I'm feeling like I'm looking a bit better now. So big up to each and every one of yourselves in the building, and big up to everyone who is a new subscriber to Tereak Talks. We are trying to get to 700 subs, of course, and I did set the deadline before deadline day. That's the deadline. I'm repeating a lot of words here. But guys, I hope you're all keeping well. I'm glad to be back, and I hope that you're all having a fantastic week. And guys, we have to kick it off straight away. We certainly do, talking about this deal, and we'll start off with the Sofyan Amrabat to Manchester United. David Ornstein is the one who reported this and broke this out earlier. We know Manchester United have held an interest in the Moroccan for some time, but here it is. It says Man United working on a deal to sign Sofyan Amrabat to take the midfielder on loan rather than a permanent due to financial fair play as they are facing those issues there. Ryan Gravenberch also among the other options, but Morocco international the top target for the Reds. And guys, this is big news. It is also big news. We have also seen some other news as well that broke through today from James Horncastle, who also works at The Athletic, but he is the Serie A correspondent and the expert for The Athletic. And the details of the Manchester United loan offer for Sofyan Amrabat is 2 million euros payable in 1 million euros installments. So 2 installments is what Manchester United want to pay this in for the loan, but a break clause effective in January. So guys, this is crazy because it would come prior to the second installment. As such, only a derisory 1 million euros would be guaranteed. Fiorentina understandably rejected it. And guys, that is big news, because a lot of Manchester United fans have been speaking about Sofyan Amrabat. He's a midfielder that we need to provide depth for Casemiro, to provide some defensive stability. And you can also play alongside Casemiro. People talk about the fact that he's got the ability to play on the ball with his feet and in transition, playing for a possession-based side in Fiorentina in Serie A, who made it into the Europa Conference League and performed quite well and dominated the game in terms of a possession standpoint. And then someone who excelled at the World Cup, who gathered and garnered a lot of attention in his time playing for Morocco, who were the most successful African nation to ever play in the World Cup and received a lot of plaudits from there. But Man United only offering 2 million euros in 2 installments, by the way, and having a break clause in January. Doesn't that say a lot to you guys? Doesn't that say a lot that Manchester United don't really rate him? And it's to say that because if they're trying to cover themselves and trying to cover their own backs and thinking, like, we need to have something in here. If it doesn't work out, it's a big risk that they believe that they're taking. And you don't really see deals like this nowadays. Bearing in mind that he's been muted to have a price tag of 20 million euros for someone who has gotten a lot of attention and a lot of interest from fans, I will say. And let me say this, fans have praised him a lot. And the people who view football, and for entertainment but it doesn't look like people at Manchester United are all in agreement on getting Sofian Amrabat. Guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the chat on this, and I'll talk about some other reasons why whilst you guys are getting ready, getting your thoughts in here. I can see that there's plenty of you in here. Big up to each and every one of you in the building. All the Man United fans in here, non-Man United fans, hope you're all keeping well. Let me big up to yourselves before I go into the other reasons. Big up Casey in the building. Connor Clark in the place. Hope you're keeping well, my friend. Nice to see you in here. And if you are new to the place, but big up to yourself. Subscribe if you haven't done so already, and welcome to the Tereak Talks family, also known as the TTF. Big up Paxton in here and listen to him. Says remember to like and subscribe on this transfer show. Big up to my bro in Pros Only Sports in Roland. Hope you're good. Says big up Tereak, close to the 700. Let's go. Big up to yourself. Mark in the building says it's not a loan deal, it's a permanent deal for Fabrizio and Pedula. I've not seen a lot of permanent deals, from that, Mark. Let me just have a quick look now. Maybe there's been an update since I've been live. I haven't seen much news about it being a permanent deal for Sofian Amrabat. And this is the news that's broken out today, Mark, and it comes from the GOAT in Tier 1 in David Ornstein and James Horncastle, which works for The Athletic, and 99% they get things right. I haven't seen anything recently, and that is the latest news on Sofian Amrabat. And I don't see anything else in terms of this here, Mark. So this is the latest news. Can you explain what financial fair play is? It's UEFA's rules and regulations in terms of how much a club can spend. Just to put it in layman's terms ever so quickly, because there's so much detail that not a lot of people understand, and I don't understand every nut and cranny in there as well. But it's basically to do with the finances, and in terms of how much you've made in a loss. You can only make a certain amount of loss for over a 3-year period, and then if you do breach those regulations, then you will face a fine or a transfer ban, which we've seen from the likes of Chelsea and Manchester City and those things there from UEFA, but nothing really major. But well, the transfer ban, which we've seen Atletico Madrid have as well for breaking financial fair play. It's for those teams that are competing in European competition. They face UEFA's financial fair play. Paxton saying, big up to yourself in the building. I'll save this comment here just as I run through. Big up Lil Yo-Yo, says we are broke as well. 2 million for a £30 player. Luke in the building saying Amrabat would be a great signing for Man United. I'll talk about that later as well, my bro. I'm feeling very confident. I'll give you that for right here. Big up Bobby K in the building as well. Pros only. I'll put star that because I think this is very interesting. Guys, let me know your thoughts. Please do. Just before I do, guys, I will pop it in. I want to run through a couple things that I just wanted to mention about this deal. So the Moroccan, let's talk about Amrabat first before we talk about Manchester United. How frustrated must he be? Because as Fabrizio said, which is probably where Mark got his, thoughts, where it's a permanent deal, but what we're seeing with the latest news, Manchester United aren't willing to make it permanent. He's been waiting. The club have been in contact with him saying, rest assured, we're going to come for you, Sofian. And he's even not taken part. He's been left out of the Fiorentina squad and let them know of his desire to leave, and to not be a part of the playing squad is a massive indication that the player wants out. And it makes you believe that Manchester United had this deal and they were further along in negotiations that we know today. Who knows? With transfer reporting, guys, I will emphasize on this. There is a little bit of delay with all reports, and I don't think it might. And it doesn't mean it's necessarily fresh off the press, even though it's breaking news to us. And we've heard with the last hours, maybe Man United are further along in negotiations for this, and this might be news from the night that he was out of the squad. But the big reason, so that he must be very frustrated, Sofian Amrabat, but he's biding his time because Manchester United's finances are a mess, and this makes it clear, loud and clear. And Paxton mentions it here in the comment that I've starred. Glazonomics always in play. Should have got this sorted out weeks ago. Just face the issue, sort it out. How incompetent can they be? If Liverpool wanted him, they would have got him by now. Liverpool, though, Pax, are in a much better financial position, so they can wrap these deals up quickly. We've seen it with how the money that they put on for Moises Caicedo and what they're looking to build. With Ryan Gravenberch, which we'll also speak about as well, signing Wataru Endo as quickly as they did, because Man United's finances are a mess, and we've known that for a while, and that does go back to Glazonomics, and they're the reason. The Glazers are the reason for Manchester United's troubles with their finances. I don't know why my camera keeps doing this. I think it might be the glare off of this white microphone, but yeah, that's the issue. And the mess that they've put you in, guys, it's hard to take even as a rival fan, yeah, and someone who doesn't like Manchester United, as from a fan's perspective, Arsenal fans' perspective, but as a football fan, this is really frustrating to see that you're not able to get your targets, really complete your squad, and you haven't been able to do that for years, guys, under Jose Mourinho. Even before that with Louis van Gaal, even before that really with David Moyes. And yes, some of these managers just ultimately weren't good enough, but they weren't given the best tools, the best chance to perform as Manchester United managers. And that's not even mentioning the likes of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, whom, apart from Mourinho, him and Mourinho, best performing managers since Sir Alex Ferguson. So it is really frustrating to see, and the mess and the issues within the squad are there to see, and it's loud and clear. With that midfield, you need depth beyond Casemiro, and competent depth at that. And the big issue is Manchester United's failure to sell Harry Maguire and Scott McTominay has proven, and the reason why I believe Manchester United are going for a loan, as well as the bit of hesitancy going for Amrabat, which I'll speak about in a bit as well, because Roland's got his thoughts on that. But the failure to sell Maguire and McTominay are huge. At one point, it looked like they could recuperate £60 million, and that would have allowed them to reinvest in that midfield. Maybe Amrabat was the backup and was the cheaper option to someone else that Man United had their eyes on, potentially a Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, who they've been linked with, who has previously played under Erik ten Hag for Bayern Munich B side. But also the failure to get rid of Donny van der Beek on who was meant to be going out on loan, and that frees up wages, not just from a squad point of view as well, creating space for him. Because let's be honest, this is why I have to try and talk with Arsenal fans as well. Outgoings are so important when you've got a bloated squad. And just from a working standpoint, yes, there might not be a part of the manager's plans, but you can't have a over-bloated wage bill, because it will affect you on financial fair play from that standpoint. Having an over-bloated squad where you've got first teamers who aren't able to be picked in Premier League squads, which will be announced after the transfer window, Champions League squads or Europa League squads, whatever competition you may be in. And then they're having to have an unhappy player that's in and around the club that's not being picked, and being a black hole for the wages standpoint. And that's what happened. That's what's going to happen with Donny van der Beek if they're not able to shift him. However, there is positive news on a Manchester United perspective that Donny van der Beek could be getting a loan move. Doesn't recuperate the transfer fee that they will need to spend to get those players in, though, as well. And just speaking about Amrabat, Pros Only Sports, go check out the channel. Roland, big Man United fan, and a level-headed one, I'd say, at that as well. I was always skeptical about Amrabat. He's been linked with more moves for years to Spurs, Barcelona. That was another move he was linked with in January, who only wanted to take him on loan as well. And Fiorentina were like, no, I want money. I want a transfer fee. Interesting. I wonder why clubs are so hesitant. I'm not his biggest fan myself, personally. I do think, and the reason being, to play for a top club like Manchester United, I think his all-round game is limited from what I've seen. Very good defensively, aggressive in the challenge, and has a lot of energy. I believe Sofyan Amrabat is a bit like a Fred in that sense, where he does have that intensity and the desire, and he works hard, and we've seen that in the World Cup. And come on, when you're playing for a nation like Morocco, when you're representing your country, you're always going to show that passion and desire. But I just think in terms of his ability for the Premier League, it's a next level in terms of speed and the technical ability that you need. I think he lacks on the technical side to be a 6 for Erik ten Hag and for Manchester United for the direction that they're looking to move in. Casemiro, who, when we look at his profile, he's not even the best in when I say the best in talking technically, in progressing the ball, being and playing through presses and helping Manchester United really become a possession-based and dominant side that look to camp in the opposition. But he helps with them in terms of transition. He's long passing abilities, not always the most accurate, but he can do it well. And he's played for Real Madrid. So there is a level that he has and a technical level that he can have, but even he's not the best, and he wasn't Erik ten Hag's priority when he first came in a year ago, was he, guys? So Roland just finishes off, says, I thought he would have been the Declan Rice replacement at West Ham, and West Ham United have also not really looked to sign him. I wonder what the reason for that is. And guys, we can only speculate. Is it that Sofyan Amrabat has known of interest from Manchester United, Liverpool, Barcelona, and said, no, I'm willing to wait for them? Or have they been put off by something else as well? Because it looks like the fee that they could have got, the amount of hype that surrounds his name, they would have had a close look at him in Europa Conference League final. It looked like perfect replacement, and there was a lot of fans, West Ham fans, that wanted that, but they went elsewhere and they went for Edson Alvarez in the end, after missing out on a McTominay who they wanted ahead of Sofyan Amrabat. So maybe it is more to do with the fact that Man United are they've been further along and they've been speaking to the players' camp. Potentially. Lil Yo-Yo says, I made a prediction that Amrabat will sign for loan with an obligation. Club will give in with the days looming. Yeah, so we got transfer deadline day coming up on Friday, I do believe, which is going to be a busy day on the channel, guys. I'll let you know about that a little bit later. But yeah, and the desperation. We know how much Manchester United need him in that midfield. Beyond Casemiro, McTominay, who's not stylistically similar at all. Someone who has performed much better as a box-to-box midfielder. Yes, he has defensive abilities. His strengths in his game is providing that energy and tough tackling, but he's not even the best at tackling and interception if you look at his numbers, but provides a lot of energy. A little bit like more similar to Fred. And Fred's just left. And you thought maybe Man United, because of that sale, we've been able to get in a new midfielder there. And that's Fred's the loss of Fred has helped us in that situation, but it doesn't look like it has. Man United are looking to sign him on loan. It's a very interesting decision. And Fiorentina know the value and they know how much the club need him is in United, don't they? So should be a very interesting into the summer. If the owners fork out the cash, it won't affect FFP. No, that's not the case. It doesn't matter about the owners forking out the cash. It's Man United have been ran into the ground and not done a good enough job, Mark, that the FFP is an issue. There are obviously ways to get around it. Have a look at what Chelsea have done. So yes, if the owners fork out the cash and they're a bit creative with how they go about things, but they don't care enough. It's not even about the cash as well. They just simply don't care about Manchester United to invest, to be creative enough to find these funds, to release these funds and make them available for Erik ten Hag in the way that Chelsea have done. And there's a lot of criticism of Chelsea and how they spent their money, but the ambition that they've shown, and they've at least got a clear project in how they want to operate with these things as well. It might not be the best or the most effective project that we may see in the end, but at least there's clarity with it, whereas Man United, there isn't that. So yeah, if they do, they can fork out the cash, but they have to show creative means to do so as well. Plenty of comments here talking about Amrabat. But the Donny van der Beek, I will add on this point as well, guys. That could create a domino effect for this transfer. If we see Donny van der Beek go on loan, maybe that Man United can increase their that bid on a loan and make it a loan with an option to buy with achievable. With it, because I don't think they'll do an obligation because of FFP. If FFP is the problem, a loan with an obligation doesn't help them, because I've seen other deals. Arsenal with the David Raya deal, it's a loan with an option to buy, but very achievable. Very achievable objectives to make it an option with a permanent if certain things are met. So certain criteria is hit. Could be appearances. Remember, Wolverhampton Wanderers, they're a team that struggle with financial fair play as well, and they're signing a Mateus Cunha in January last year. It was a loan with an option to buy, but I think they hit the option with after he made 3 appearances for Wolverhampton Wanderers. So these add-on, so these options with loans with options to buy, some of them can be very achievable. Some of them, of course, not all. Some you have straight loans, you have loans with options, you have loans with obligations. But for a financial fair play perspective, which if it is that, it'll be a loan with an option to buy. And what the Fiorentina will want is, okay, you can do that, but it's basically a loan with an obligation. If you only understand what I'm saying, guys, let me know. If you don't understand, ask me as well. But let me see what you guys are saying. Another player we let slip away. Conte wanted him last year before the World Cup. Now he's worth double effing Levy. Hey, I know what you mean, man. He would have really helped in there to solidify your midfield. But the starting midfield that you've got right now, Bobby, it's looking pretty decent. Pape Matar, and then you've got, Yves Bissouma, who's really found his form and showing the player that had so much hype going into Tottenham. And yeah, Rodrigo Bentancur still to come back as well. But yeah, the more the merrier. I understand what you mean, my brother. United should pay as much as they can to balance it off next season. Once again, to get the player out, they may put themselves in a more deeper trouble if they do that. Makes no sense how they can't agree a loan with an obligation to buy. Sooner the Glazer scum leave, the better. Look at the frustration of United fans. I can share it. I can feel it. To read Manchester United being using intermediaries all summer. So that's why the British journalists are behind and breaking clickbait stories. But more importantly, Man United have the pull. I'm not Mark. I ain't questioning Man United's pull. You're right about that. Like, players will wait for them. Of course, how you got Mason Mountain. He rejected every other move from other club because he wanted to join Manchester United. But Man United simply aren't effective in getting transfer deals done with reasonable prices down to the price that they want. Man United have a reputation in the transfer window of always paying what the club want. When's the last time Man United struck a deal that you'd say for a target, a top target, that they, you look at them and you say, wow, they haggled down. Even there's so much PR that gets put out there that is true from both sides. But even the Hojlund deal, you paid essentially what they wanted. Anthony, remember there was a price quoted much lower at the start of last summer to get Anthony in, and then it was by the time that you went for Anthony, Ajax said, no, we've already sold way too many of our players, and now that's it. So it's not even necessarily about finances, my bro. It's how you guys manage these deals. You have the finances. You spend a lot. Erik ten Hag, let's not lie, he spent a lot of money, but it's not always effective, and you could have saved a lot of money if there was people at the club who are doing negotiations, whether it's Murto or Richard Arnold, whoever works at Manchester United. They could have got these deals sorted way quicker, a lot cheaper prices earlier in the window, and been less desperate. Who knows, man? Who knows? Is Colby Mainu ready? Still coming back from injury, and you don't really want to be relying on a teenager that's had no Premier League experience prior to this. I do rate the guy, do rate the kid highly, and I think he's one of your best prospects to come out of the academy. With the likes of number 11, who we should not mention, Garnacho, Rashford in recent years. But you don't want to be putting that sort of level of responsibility. You want to be bedding him in slowly, cooking him, giving him appearances off the bench, and maybe towards the end of the season, the odd start. And then next season, we see a progression in his role, which could be another reason why Man United are only looking for a loan as well, because you're not in the stage as a team where you really want to be relying upon young players. Do you get me? You're not doing the Chelsea project. You're not doing what Arsenal did, which was like, with under the start of Mikel Arteta, or not really the start, because we went for quite an experienced group as well. But more to do with you've got a balance in your squad where you've got quite a few experienced players and you're trying to win a lot of trophies. Now, Man United, that's what you're trying to do. You always got to try to win trophies. And is this the great environment? Is it a conducive environment to get in this young player like a Kobe Mainoo? Who knows? Big up to Samir in the building. I'm a Moroccan, and it always big up to Samir, who says, I'm a Moroccan, and it's always the same with Moroccan players. They will play the African Cup of Nations in January and will be fasting for Ramadan in March. That's why Man U only bid 1 million for. Maybe the Samir, it's a good point about the African Cup of Nations. That's a very good point. Man United could be looking for a break clause if it doesn't work out well, and they don't want to have someone for the remainder of the season who's not playing a part of the club and costing them in wages if they're to cover his full wage. But I don't think the Ramadan part, because there's a lot of players, that we see now. Mohammed Salah, some of the top players in the Premier League, Sadio Mane when he was at Liverpool. They're just to name a few that observe Ramadan during the months that it happens, and the next one will be March. We haven't really seen a big drop off in their performances, have we? Karim Benzema winning the Champions League many times as he has. Let's have a look. Plenty of you in the chat here. Thomas Partey, that's another one, as Luke says here. Big up to yourself, guys. Amrabat is like Fred, but he's way better on the ball. Trust me. Do you know what? I'll be quite honest, Lil Yo-Yo. I don't actually think there's much of a difference. The reason why I say that, Amrabat looks better, plays in Serie A. Much lower league, much more time, much more space to do what you need to do. Yes, the quality of Serie A has improved in recent years, but you won't get that time and space in the Premier League. Look at how Spurs, Brentford, clubs in and around Aston Villa will play. They will press you. They're not scared to. And we saw with Fred, who came with a big hype, big hype, Champions League level player for Shakhtar, Manchester City looking at him, and they were serious about him, but didn't want to pay the money that Shakhtar were demanding because they knew Man United were in the race and Man United would pay. And Man United also knew that as well. Fred, who was heavily sought after by Pep Guardiola. Yeah, it's a different level. It's a different level in the Premier League. I hear what you're saying. He might be better slightly, but I don't think he's much better. So that means he's better than... Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Big up my bro Rich in the building as well, and everyone in here. Moss is in here too. Well, it's Luke. I think it's Luke. No, it's Moss. It's Moss here because we've got Luke in here. But let me just move on let me have a look through the chat as well. We've got plenty of you in here. Big up to everyone locked into the building. Love to see you all in the place as well. Just on Amrabat, I'm scrolling through some of the comments. Just having a look. CM's got something in here on Amrabat. It rarely happens, T. I think over the course of the last decade, clubs have learned how we operate and will look to assert their dominance due to always chasing players that we need. Exactly that. Exactly, because of the reputation. And reputations of clubs is so important in buying and selling. Chelsea, we know they pay a lot for players. They always have done. They've never been willing to, they've never been afraid to overpay, and clubs also know that. Whereas when the sales perspective and the point of view, they're excellent. Clubs know that we're buying off Chelsea here. We're going to have to pay big money. We're going to have to really fork out our cash for these players, and players that have come with big reputations throughout the youth groups and their young ages, being one of the top prospects, even if they've not fulfilled their potential, like a Kai Havertz, like a Lewis Hall, like a Mason Mount, not necessarily fulfilled their potential, but well, Lewis Hall still very young. Sorry, I didn't really mean to put him in there, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. Chelsea are able to still get big fees. That's what they've been able to do for years. Who remembers the David Luiz deal? Who remembers that? How Chelsea managed to pull that one off? In the end, break even. or even make a profit on David Luiz after spending 50 million and made 50 million back from PSG and got him back for like 20 yards and yeah, crazy. And then end up going to Arsenal. Madness. Mate, no disrespect, but the negotiators are probably English. They lack creativity and incompetence. Well, we've seen English negotiators in Chelsea be very creative in how they do those things. But yeah, it just means that yours aren't great, my bro. And that's why there's been a lot of criticism for them as well. Swap Van der Beek for Amrabat, iron out the finances next season. Big risk. Big risk indeed. I don't. Will Fiorentina be able to pay the wages? Maybe. He has had interest from Italy, Genoa, who have been interested in him as well. Fred is still better than Declan Rice. Mate, you're having a laugh. You are. About Fred's better than Declan Rice. Fred is not. Tell me about this one. Hey, it is crazy. But guys, I will move on into the next topic. We have spent half an hour, but bless up to everyone in the chat. Love to see you in here. If you haven't done so already, people listen to Rich and CM and the likes of Paxson who have said hit that subscribe button if you are new. Roll to 700 soon complete. Please be sure to drop a like, subscribe, and share it to your friends and frenemies. Bless up to my bro, man. Thank you for that. So the next topic, and Manchester United fans, you're not going to want to hear this, as David Ornstein reported that Ryan Gravenberch is on your list of targets. But what we have here is that one of your targets could be heading to your arch nemesis in Liverpool, your biggest rivals in Ryan Gravenberch. Let me share this with you guys on the place as well. Just before I do, I should have really got this sorted much quicker and much. There we go. Oh, I'm even messed up the background now. You see how this is not very professional. But let me zoom in closer for you here. So exclusive. Liverpool in negotiations with Bayern Munich for permanent signing for Ryan Gravenberch. Not guaranteed to happen, but clubs discussing the price. Plus, if finances are right, a formal offer will follow. The 21-year-old wants Liverpool. FC Bayern would need to replace, and that came from The Athletic, and we've seen plenty more reports. Once again, this is the GOAT of reporting transfers in David Ornstein. We've seen plenty more things about this with coming from the German side with Plettenberg reporting on it. But the big news, I would say, is from Florian Plettenberg, is what I'm about to share with you on my screen now, is about João Palhinha, because he wants to join Bayern Munich, and it looks like that could happen, which would allow Bayern Munich to be able to sell, and it might even help Liverpool in this aspect, and even potentially Man United. But João Palhinha, he wants to join FC Bayern. Now both clubs in Fulham and Bayern Munich are working on the solution. Personal terms, not an issue, as the 28-year-old is waiting for an agreement between the clubs now. Silva wants to keep him, but understand that Palhinha is not unsellable. That's what I'm guessing he means. He is ready for the next step. And we saw him on the weekend. Arsenal fans, we certainly did. The quality that he has. How good is João Palhinha? How good was he on the weekend, guys? He was out of this world, top performer ever since he set foot in the Premier League. He's been outstanding. What a player that they've had, and we've seen him quoted for a price around 80 million, 70 million for West Ham, who were interested in him early in the window to replace Declan Rice. And now looks like he'll be able to Bayern Munich, and that'll be a great move for the Portuguese. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Man United fans, I'm sure you'll be saying, hey, we want to be all over this. We wish we were all over it. But hey, this book, that Palhinha. But we're going to focus on the Gravenberch move to Liverpool potentially. So as the key parts in this, though, guys, it's not guaranteed, but the clubs are discussing a price. So Liverpool are trying to work out how much it would cost to get in a Ryan Gravenberch. How much would you pay for Gravenberch, guys? How much would you pay? And also, I want to ask this question. Is he the midfielder that Liverpool really need? Because we know Liverpool's desperate need is in that 6 role. We've seen it with how they've operated in the transfer market with Lavia and Caicedo, but they didn't land him. They're those players, and they got Wataru Endo. And I've been very interested in signing Decore, check Decore from Crystal Palace. Those at Eagle Eye Football won't want to be hearing about that, but of course, yeah, that's still within, and that's still rumored to be a possible move. That's not their priority, but Liverpool's still working on something. They're still trying to cook something in the background whilst, how Liverpool work. They can work in silence. They can get things done very quickly without letting the press know, English journalists or any journalist of that matter. Ryan Gravenberch, I think he's a signing that's going to be much more the likes of providing depth for Szoboszlai, McAllister, Jones, Elliott, and Thiago. And he will be the Jordan Henderson replacement. And Liverpool are still yet to sign a Fabinho replacement. Will they get that done this summer? It seems like for Liverpool, if they are going to compete for the title, after having a fantastic win on the weekend against Newcastle in the extraordinary circumstances, being down to 10 men, 1-0 down as well, they need to solidify that midfield. They need to get that stability back for Liverpool to be at their best. Whatever you think Liverpool's best was in that Premier League winning season when they got 99 points, or in the season where they were fighting for the quadruple, which is two different Liverpool teams, especially in that midfield, I would say. Liverpool in that 99 Premier League winning season, high octane football, gegenpressing, ran teams off the park, the fittest team, and the speed of play, the energy that they had in that midfield. Henderson, Fabinho, and Wijnaldum epitomised that engine that they had. But then when they moved on into the team that won the FA Cup, Carabao Cup, competed for the Premier League, competed for the Champions League, it's more of a possession-based, dominant midfield. Fabinho, Thiago in there, and Henderson rotating sometimes with the Naby Keita. They still maintained and had their identity of being a gegenpressing team, but had a little bit more control into their attacks and how they wanted to play. We saw Mane kind of become a false nine in that period as he lost his intensity and that, throughout the years of him playing Premier League football, he just kind of lost it a little bit. And then they were still able to perform at a ridiculously high level. That Liverpool midfield and how they're building that team they are moving into sort of that direction, more possession-based, having real attacking eights in there who can create, like a Szoboszlai, McAllister, Elliott, and Jones as well. But Ryan Gravenberch, he adds to that, someone who works well in the left half space in particular. That's where he's been at his best for Ajax. We haven't really seen him play for Bayern Munich. That's the issue. Man United were interested in getting him on loan in the January as well. What the heck is happened to this camera here? My word. Have I got dust on it? Man. Sorry, guys. I am sorry. I don't know. I need to do some work on this camera here, For real. Apologies for that there. But yeah, he's much more of an 8 and not a defensive midfielder who's gonna give you those, in tackles and interceptions in the deeper areas. Helps with them in transition, has a lot of energy, has some physicality to him. 6'3" frame, a lot of technical ability. I'd say if you was to liken him, a B-Tech Pogba in that sense. I know it's kind of, Pogba is Man United player, didn't succeed at United, but someone who has a lot of technical ability and flair and can score a goal, likes to take corners as well, being at that big frame. Reminds me of a Thierry Henry. And Szoboszlai, two physically quite tall midfielders. Szoboszlai being 6'1" and Gravenberch being 6'2", 3. I'm not quite sure exactly. That provides that physicality. But if they can bring someone who is that strong defensive tackler that the top clubs have, Man United, we just spoke about with Casemiro, and Arsenal with Declan Rice and Thomas Partey, and Man City with Rodri. Who else? Newcastle with Bruno Guimaraes and Tonali. And yeah, the likes of there. I mean, even Aston Villa with Boubacar Kamara. Are they going to be that side? Who knows? it is interesting. But that João Palhinha move is going to be massive for Liverpool if they can. If that will be the domino effect. We always see it. There's always a love triangle, I call it, in the transfer market. I remember Arsenal, Borussia Dortmund, Chelsea. Arsenal getting Aubameyang. That meant that we that Dortmund had to get Michy Batshuayi, and we sold Giroud to Chelsea. Who remembers those guys? Who remembers those? That was in January, of course, but we've seen other love triangles happen in the transfer market. There, especially towards the end of the market, which is towards deadline day. There is a massive domino effect that happens. But that's one of them, one of the pieces that needs to move. Bayern to get João Palhinha, and then João Palhinha, they'll need to get some funds off that, and that will strengthen Liverpool's negotiations standpoint. And they say, well, I know you need to make some room to get this player a part of your squad. How about this for Gravenberch? 20 mil Case is saying, 25 mil Moss is saying there. I think that's the kind of ballpark that would be very good. It'd be a great deal for Liverpool, getting a player who's surplus to requirements, who isn't rated by Thomas Tuchel, hasn't had enough game time, but a player who when he went to Bayern Munich with a lot of potential, moving from Ajax from the Eredivisie under Erik ten Hag. Interesting, but will Man United try and make a late move if they're not able to land Sofian Amrabat? Not a like-for-like replacement at all. This is what it's very confusing with how clubs operate like this. They're not like-for-like replacements. Ryan Gravenberch, they don't even really play in the same areas or excel in the same areas of the pitch. But yeah, interesting moves we got right going on right now. Let's have a look. I know it's a big debate in the chat, and I don't even know how it's a debate about Declan Rice and Fred. Mark, my brother, come on. I don't know. What? Average, all rate average players so highly. Watch more football leagues. Caicedo, Enzo, Tchouameni, Fred. How are you putting Fred in those names, bro? Serious, bro, Mark. How are you putting Fred alongside Caicedo, Enzo, and Tchouameni? That is crazy to me. That is crazy. That is absolutely nuts. The agenda against right. He's Man United fan, man. He's Man United fan. If he was wearing a United shirt, I know Mark would feel different. That's all I'm saying. Bakayoko not in the PSV squad. Big news, breaking news. Big up to yourself, Rich. Bakayoko not in the PSV squad, who has been linked to a lot of clubs. Brentford interested in him. Burnley interested in him as well. If there is anyone else that's been that has been broken, is an interest with Johan Bakayoko, let me know. But yeah, Brentford and Burnley have been the two favourites to sign him. Have Palace been interested in him, Rich? What Palace? I know Henderson with that deal. Dean Henderson's been completed, which, to be honest, I can't lie. It seems like a waste of money, because a waste of resources with Palace. We know their financial situation. It's not. They don't have Chelsea money to spend. It seems like you had pressing needs elsewhere. A striker that you need to sign, fullback, even more of a priority than a goalkeeper. Felt like you could have been a bit cheaper than a Dean Henderson. Don't get me wrong, Dean Henderson's a fantastic goalkeeper for Palace, and I think he'll do well and have a smashing career, and might even get back into the England squad for the Euros. Would not surprise me at all. But for Palace, it doesn't seem like a very smart way of using your resources. But let me know if you think differently, my man. Vibes need Liverpool to hurry up and get Gravenberch. That will then allow you to have a free run at Sofian Amrabat. Is that what you're thinking, Vibes? Are you worried? Or is it that you don't want Gravenberch, so it gets you out of the race for him as well? Let me know. I want to know your thoughts. But yeah, Vibes also adds here, imagine Endo is their only defensive midfield signing. He struggled on the weekend for sure. Yes, being down to 10 men, but I thought even before that, in the 10 minutes, Newcastle were converging on him, and Bruno Guimaraes was running rings around him. I did think, who knows? Imagine his first game, we saw Caicedo have a terrible first game, but we know the quality that he has and that he can fulfill the potential that he has. But yeah, it didn't look great for Endo, I will say. I will go on to that part, Moss, in just a second. Big up to yourself. Hold on. You've had a jokers. Like, oh, he's playing. Oh, fake news. Bakayoko setting up goals today. Oh, hey, Rich, you got me, man. Richie's caught me. Nah, I want a defensive midfielder. We ain't getting two players, so rather go for the best option for us right now. 100%. That's definitely what you need in that area of the pitch. Solidify that there. And then if you want a box to box midfielder, you've got Scott McTominay. Yes, he's not at the level of Ryan Gravenberch, but then you've even got a Colby Mainu, even beyond that, who I think, has the ability all day, every day to edge Scott McTominay out by the end of the season. But you want to slowly cook. Don't want to put too much pressure on the young lad. And yeah, because even physically putting on that pressure, he might break. With an injury, you want to slowly get him back into things. And yeah, and then mentally, of course, we forget about these things with young players. Not every young player has the mental capacity to play at 17, like Mbappe, Saka, Lamine Yamal, and even him. I don't know. I don't know. Physically, they're not growing. Then physically, they are growing, but you need to be careful. It's seen with Rasmus Hojlund and other players that have had stress fractures, and Emil Smith-Rowe as well. Let's have a look now into this. Big up Luke Danjuma with a goal 2-1. Everton doing well. Why is Terry Fuffle put Mudrick in an Arsenal shirt? Elite clickbait. That's terrible. I thought mine was clickbait by putting Gravenberch agrees to Liverpool, but it's not. Yeah, he's not actually agreed personal terms, but he wants Liverpool. That's clear. And Moss, to your point, is Palmer really going to Chelsea? Yes, he is, by the sounds of it, Moss. And that was broken by Fabrizio Romano earlier on today. Let me share my screen with you here. Let me just go on to this one and go on to the Fabrizio's post, because he did the here we go. He was the one who initially broke the news as well that Chelsea were interested in in Palmer. He broke 10 hours ago that Cole Palmer is on a list of talented offensive players being considered for the final edition. Oh, breaking news. Breaking news. Here we go. Hold on. I'll get into Cole Palmer shortly in a bit, because Fabrizio just tweeted here, Man United preparing a formal bid for Sofyan Amrabat, always being a top target. No loan proposal sent to Fiorentina, just informal talks. Fiorentina could be open to a loan, but with an obligation to buy based on conditions. Ooh. So what he means by based by conditions, guys, is the loan with the option, if he hits certain targets, that it will become an obligation right there. Interesting. Conflicting reports once again. Ornstein and Romano doing it. You got to kind of back Romano in this sense. He's in Italian. He has links with, I'm sure he has plenty of links with Fiorentina and other Italian clubs as well, and even the people of Sofyan Amrabat. You can't really deny about James Horncastle, who works the Athletic, covers Serie A, has his own links there. David Ornstein, but co-signing that report. David Ornstein's not going to back up that report without checking his sources. He doesn't really tweet as much about transfers as much as Fabrizio Romano. So when he does it, he usually gets his things back really sorted and backdated out properly. Who knows? But back to the back to the Cole Palmer links, and that's where I was going for as I was looking for this. Big up to yourself, guys. Cole Palmer. It's been given the here we go by Fabrizio. See that? Spitting bars right there. Call me CM. But yeah, here we go. Cole Palmer to Chelsea. Here we go. Agreement in principle reached with Manchester City on a £40 million deal plus $5 million in add-ons. So that's worth up to £45 million in add-ons. Exclusive news revealed earlier today. Then quick resolution between the clubs and green light from Palmer. Medical tests to be booked soon. Guys, one thing that we can definitely confirm with this, Fabrizio Romano and Chelsea, he knows a lot about Chelsea. Very weird, very well connected, I will say, with Chelsea. I'll let you guys theorize on that and whatever you think your reason is. He gets the whole payroll thing from Chelsea, which he's denied, and it's illegal. Of course, it is illegal, but hey, we're going to pretend like illegal things don't happen. No, who knows? Romano is dead food now. Here we go. And inshallah, come in a week in advance. Exactly. His clickbait game's gone off the charts. But this one, Palmer to Chelsea, is just odd. I think he's an excellent prospect. Luke, this is where I agree with you in a sense. It is odd to a certain extent, but with Pochettino, he loves his wide tens. Do you remember when he was at his best time at Spurs? He played Christian Eriksen on the left wing, and he cut inside and was more of a creative number 10 who played off of the left. And that's what Cole Palmer is for me. We've seen him at Man City with the system that they play. Plays a right winger in that sort of Mahrez mode on a handful of occasions against Chelsea, against Arsenal in the Community Shield when he came off the bench. But he's someone who likes to operate as a number 10 in that, and he would prefer, the best we've seen from Cole Palmer at England youth level, at Manchester City youth level, is when he's had a right back that's been able to overlap him, and he's really worked well with them there. Someone who's came inside, played as a number 10, played as a false 9 for Manchester City in the Cups as well. So someone who has a real goal threat and a real bright future. Excellent Euros under 21s, which I'm sure we all managed to catch as well early in the summer. And he shone and he scored big goals. Big goal in the final against Spain. Sure, he had a lot of attractors, and Chelsea have got someone on that right wing who they were after. He's a similar profile to a Mikel Elise, very left-footed, who has got a lot of trickery, and he's spoken about. He's watched a lot when he was training with Riyad Mahrez, tried to learn a lot of his tricks, and Riyad Mahrez, one of the best 1v1 dribblers that we've seen in the Premier League when in a small space. Even Alexander Zinchenko said that as well, and I totally agree with him. We've seen the technical ability he's possessed and the goals and assists that he's been able to create. Cole Palmer has showed moments and glimpses of that in big occasions, Community Shield final and Super Cup of late. And those big performances and big goals have managed to have seduced Chelsea. And for them, who they've got Joe Shields, who used to work for the Manchester City development. So they've already got that relationship. Someone who would have got Cole Palmer into the academy, would have worked with him and would have seen the potential that he has. So there is, it's odd in a sense where in a team where they've got quite a few wingers. You got Madueke there, Mudryk, Raheem Sterling, Carney when he gets back, and there's just a few that I'm named off the top of my head. If I had a look at Chelsea's squad right this second, let me have a look and look at the attackers that they have. The amount of money that they spent is going to raise up to £930 million in just over 12 months. So Sterling, Madueke, Nkunku, Callum Hudson-Odoi, who looks like he's leaving. Diego Moreira, he's played against Wimbledon tonight. I'm not sure what the Chelsea score is. They're probably won in the end, given the fact that no one's really talking about it. But yeah, they've still got a lot of wide players. Someone to add on that right. Maybe it provides more depth. His versatility will help on that standpoint in him getting more game time. But from a Manchester City's perspective, I don't think it's too odd. Now they've signed Jeremy Doku. They've already got Bernardo Silva, and it's about to sign him on a contract extension. That right-hand side just got even harder to try and get minutes. Already, Man City are already struggling to give Foden enough game time as well. And he's coming into the central areas whilst Kevin De Bruyne is injured. They're signing Mateus Nunes, which I'll just quick word on that. Disgraceful way to behave as a professional footballer. I hate it when footballers go on strike and those things to try and force through a move and be very unprofessional. You sign a contract, you sign a contract for a reason. If you had greater things in your mind, which I'm sure fair enough to have, but do it with respect to the club that gave you your Premier League opportunity. Liverpool didn't sign you. If Liverpool wanted to sign you, I'm sure you would have went to them instead of Wolves. Man City didn't want to sign you. They didn't want to take that risk on you last season. They allowed you to come in the Premier League and wanted to see you there. So respect the club that Wolverhampton Wanderers did to give you that opportunity. Disgraceful. This is why I respected Declan Rice for how he handled that, and it even showed me more of a professional. We knew about his desire to move to Arsenal. We've seen a lot of players who have had that desire, and it's been public knowledge basically. But whenever they spoke about it, they said, "No, no, I'm a West Ham player. I'm this, I'm that, etc." Come on, man. Mateus Nunes, respect. But that's a problem that Wolves are doing. The players that they're bringing in are using Wolves as a stepping stone, and that's why I think Wolves are in the issues that they're in right now. Yes, it was great in their first couple of seasons. They had Ruben Neves, Jota, Raul Jimenez, and the quality that they were able to have. But then their eyes are always elsewhere, so the commitment levels aren't. Even they might then when they're on the pitch, I'm sure their commitment's on 100%. But think about it subconsciously, guys. How can you be like that if you're always looking at the next step and you got an agent that's flirting with other clubs, which has probably happened with Man City? Of course, it has happened for him to go there. So yeah, I don't like when players behave like that. Just a little point there, but yeah, with the pathway for Cole Palmer, it's a lot more unclear. And it makes sense to make a move to Chelsea. That's where I say it's a bit odd. If you Balogun, he's gone to Monaco now. Best wishes to him. Love Flo, and I wish I kind of my heart yearns that yearns that he did have the opportunity at Arsenal. I wish he did. I really do, because I think there's a top player in following Balogun, and I think he'll ball out and he'll make a move after Monaco. Might even become £100 million player. I don't think that's too much, too far from his capabilities with the ability he has. Even just from the business standpoint, a USA international now, and their star man number 9, he could be £100 million player in a year or two. So yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame with Balogun, but he's gone to play some first team football, same like him, but he went to Monaco. Who knows? Maybe other clubs weren't willing to pay what Man City wanted, and we know Chelsea like to do. City did great business again. That's one thing we cannot deny, Moss. One thing we cannot deny. Stupid deals paying for 20 to 40, 50 million for academy players. I think that's where the value is in the market now, isn't it, Mark? Think about it, bro. Caicedo's moved for 115. Rice has moved for 105. Yeah, all of those players are overpriced. I think Rice was an £80 million player. Caicedo less, I'd say 70 around about that mark. Could be better than Rice, but given what he's done in the Premier League, the amount of time he's had, and taken away the English tax as well. And then you've got Enzo, who's probably an £80 million player at bet again, and then went for 120. There's the value. You are overpaying for them in the short term, but they can prove valuable in the long term, and the market's only going crazier. It's only inflating even more. So I don't think it's too bad if the potential's there. Lavia went to Southampton. Who else? Yeah, that's the one I think of. All the Manchester City prospects that they sell. Carlos Borges has gone to Ajax there too. Let's have a look. Rich, and all your academy players are going for 1 million. City are crazy. City are mad with their business, but they have done it again. Ornstein being frauding lately too. Minerals calls it Ornstein. I have no idea why, but it kills me. I know he has got a couple of things wrong. This transfer market, I think we've seen a lot of journalists get things wrong and things being thrown about. Nothing worse than Damasio. I love Arsenal fans on Twitter. They are funny, man. They are funny. Even if you don't agree with them, yeah, it's all banter in the end. What they're trying to do, and it's all to provoke other people. Sometimes it's the own fan base as well. But what they do is, I've seen them tweet about Damarcio's tweet saying it's all the agreement in place, and Declan Rice soon to become a Man City player and all of that. Yeah, it's crazy. But pros only sports, the transfer market has been all over the place indeed. Just like this stream, just like the topics we've been speaking about. But when you talk about transfers, it is crazy, and the levels are there. Will Cole Palmer be a success at Chelsea? Difficult, man, because who knows what Chelsea are going to buy next in January? Forget next summer. They could sign Elise in January. They could. Who knows, man? I think I'll be honest, yeah. And the final thing I wanted to say on this Chelsea point, with what they're doing, Their young project is exciting, and the ceiling that has is on a ridiculous level. But the floor with young players and spending big money and giving them a long-term contracts is crazy. We know how young players perform, and we know that so many young players don't reach their potential because there's a lot more things than talent that goes into football. Mentality, even environment. The environment that you're in has to be one that breeds winning and breeds success and as a great development. I'm sure the coaches they'll be able to develop them even from a technical standpoint. Pochettino's a brilliant coach. He works well with young players. But there's so many other factors that go into players being successful and having successful careers. Bukayo Saka isn't at the level that he's at and being young player of the year for the PFA Players of the Year, young player PFA Player of the Year, just because of his talent. That's a big factor, of course, for him to get to that level. But the mentality, the consistency that he's shown, and all the other things, the professionalism, the humility that goes into the person. And also, not just that, the Arsenal as a whole, if Arsenal had a right winger, if Arsenal's Nicola Pepe became the Pepe that we expected him to be, I'm sure Saka would have still found a way to get into that team. But he might not be at the level that he is now because he might not have had the exposure, the time, the experiences that he's had with a young team. And and that all links again back to the mentality that can break players. Those issues, the pressure that the club was under at the time, that could break players. But no, Saka rolls. Why Arsenal fans love Emile Smith-Rowe so much, and why we were desperate not to let him go to Chelsea, was because he rolls in that moment. Injuries have held him back in his development as well. Physical issues that you don't necessarily see from a young age, because Emile Smith-Rowe had a growth spurt. Look at the size of Emile Smith-Rowe now to when he first broke into the team then. Just getting on so much muscle. Reece James, look at the level that Reece James was performing at in his first season at Chelsea. Out of this world, one of the best right backs on his day. Can't get a run of games because of physical issues. I know there's so many factors that go into players being a success. That's why the risk from Chelsea is extremely high, just like their ceiling is. But I think what Chelsea are looking to do is, if the players aren't successful in their time there, and they will look to sell them on, they want to sell them on for high fees, like they did with Havertz, like they did with Mason Mount, like they've done with Lewis Hall, had sell-on fees for the likes of Tino Livramento and made so much money off of them. Crazy. Who knows? Yeah. But it's true. It's so true. It is so true. Pros Only Sports says you can't predict anything too fast. Fab has been getting community notes on Twitter. Yeah, I thought exactly. I thought you was talking about the like what I'm talking about with young players, but that's very true. There's been community notes on Fabrizio Romano's tweets as well. Ansu Fati to Brighton and Hove Albion is a massive. Hold on, is this news that's breaking through now about Ansu Fati to Brighton? Spurs were linked with him 2 seconds ago. Now potentially Ansu Fati. Bro, I appreciate my bro King. I've just, you know what? You're a legend for that. Thanks for shouting this out on Twitter, bro. I thank you so much. And everyone else that's in here and supporting in the comments, watching live, hit the like button. If you told a friend, love to you all, guys. Really love this community that we got here. I've just gone on Twitter to just have a look to see if this Ansu Fati to Brighton thing is mad, or is King saying that would be a great move for him? Who knows? This. Oh my word! Oh my word! Here we go. Breaking news from Fabrizio Romano. Oh my word! Share the screen. Share the screen right now. Ansu Fati. This is getting ridiculous out here. It's not even deadline day yet. What am I going to do for deadline day when the news is going to be moving like this? Here we go. Breaking news. There's no here we go yet. Brighton are closing in on Ansu Fati deal as Barca are prepared to accept the formal bid proposal received on loan. Ansu Fati has accepted Brighton as his destination. De Zerbi the key factor. Final green light soon. Then here we go. Wow. Wow. Who would have thought Ansu Fati, a Barcelona La Masia graduate with all the potential in the world, One of the, injuries have held him back. We know about this. Arsenal were linked to him. Tottenham were linked to him. Bro, I'm not going to lie. Hands down, I would have taken Ansu Fati on a loan. Arsenal have looked otherwise. And yes, we've got Reece Nelson, Martinelli, Trossard that can all play out there. Even a Jesus if you need to. So I can understand that. But from a player perspective, looking how good the level that he's at and the ability that he has and the level he could potentially reach, that's a brilliant signing for Brighton. Mitoma and Ansu Fati in the rotation. Yeah, it's done. This league is dumb. Do you know how good the Premier League is, guys? I keep saying this. We chat about Man City dominate this league and they run it, but don't knock the level of the Brighton are about to get a Barcelona player, and this ain't no dead player they're getting from Barcelona. This ain't no disrespect. Martin Braithwaite, you know what I mean? Who played for Middlesbrough. This is Ansu Fati. This is a Spain international. This is crazy. The one who wears number 10 for Barcelona. I know numbers don't really mean much, but to take that number off Messi. Yes, he hasn't lived to the fullest, but crazy. BX in the building said anyone but Spurs. Absolutely. He saw Spurs in the Carabao Cup second round and said, nah, for real. Big up to yourself, BX and vibes there. I never saw it coming. I can't lie. It's Deserby is a bad man. This is a ridiculous move. Mitoma and Ansu Fati and the versatility he provides. He can play on the left. He can play on the right. He can even play up top. I wouldn't be surprised to see him playing in behind the striker. Injuries is his big factor. So I understand that's why Brighton are getting him. Let's be quite honest here. Someone who hasn't fulfilled his potential because of injuries. He's sustained a lot. Brighton are not going to pay a big fee for him because of those injuries. It's a big risk for a club like that to take. Financially, yes, they have a lot of money now with Caicedo and the sales that they've made in recent years as well. McAllister in the same window. But this is one of the most exciting teams in Europe. You've got to be quite honest. Brighton are one of the most exciting teams, one of the most progressive, up-and-coming coaches out there, where Pep Guardiola is taken a lot of inspiration from, and he's even said the best build-up team in the Prem, where he's taken, and I've even seen Arteta with the La Pausa. Sorry, I got criticised on Realist's channel for not saying that correctly before. But this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. Ansu Fati to Brighton. Mate, the Premier League is nuts. We've got a deadline day stream coming up, guys, on Friday. I am going to wrap this up here because I do have a big announcement to make as well. But what we'll say before that announcement is we will have a deadline day stream coming on Friday. Tomorrow evening, I will be back here on 8 o'clock for the Premier League preview show. If there is any more breaking news, which I'm sure there probably will be, I will have to try and make some time for a stream then. But the announcement that I'm making is tomorrow for the UEFA Champions League draw. I've been invited, humbly grateful to jump on. This is what the camera can't blur now. Come on. I've been invited, and I'm very happy. Sorry to say that I will be joining James Lawrence Alcott and other fans as an Arsenal representative for the Champions League draw. I'll be giving my views as an Arsenal fan, my reaction to the draw. Make sure you join us live from 5 o'clock. I will ask for each and every one of you. James Lawrence Alcott is a massive inspiration into me starting this in this channel. And if you know, guys, I'm an Arsenal fan, but I do Premier League content. Bro, this is the big inspiration what I got from him. So he's a QPR fan, but he covers. You guys should know who James Lawrence Alcott is. You should know him by now. You'd have seen his podcast, The Ripple Effect. You'd have seen him on Sky Sports at some point. All over YouTube, big channel on there as well. A massive inspiration into starting this, and it all started from a tweet. And yeah, I've got this opportunity now to join him, and I'm gassed for it. It was yesterday I found out. Well, it's just join his channel, guys. If you haven't done so already, I'll get the link out to the channel. Yeah, if you don't know who I'm talking about, just by the odd chance, but he's a massive streamer in this game. He does football content. A really top guy as well. Such a nice guy. He's been doing this for years. He's been doing it for years. I've been following his stuff for many a year now. From when he worked on another channel called Ball Street. But now, yeah, he's doing big things. He's doing big things, and he's created this new concept where he's trying to help smaller content creators grow. So if you are a content creator in yourself, guys, I do recommend you go check him out as well. I only joined it like this week, and it happened so quickly. So Rich, my bro, Roland, CM, Luke, Moss, everyone, King, everyone that's in here that's a content creator, check out that channel. He's got something called The Narrative on that show. Get in there. He's got a Discord server where he wants all fans from other Premier League clubs. If whoever you are that's watching, even if you're not in the comments right now, and you're a content creator, even if you're not a content creator, join it. I do recommend that. Mate, it's crazy, the opportunity. So yeah, and he's doing some great work on the channel. And yeah, I'll be there. A few people, some of you may know Aaron. Aaron, Man United fan. He's done streams with rants. He's going to be there as well. And there's some other young, some up and coming content creators. It's a great place to network, guys. And I've only just joined it this week. So yeah, and it's crazy. So yeah, I will get that in there. Please check it out. I hope you can see it. Can you click the link in the channel right there? Yeah, you should be able to. Yeah, that's all good. So yeah, I will be there from 5 o'clock. Get in there, people. Big up to everyone in the chat, though. Love. Thank you for the love that you're showing in here. Congrats on the wedding trip. Many blessings. Big up CM. That's huge. Congrats, my bro. Rich, thank you to you as well, my bro. Big. Yo, I'm gonna be emotional right now, yeah. But Rich is a big inspiration as well. You know, someone who's motivated me. Have a brother in this game who's done a lot of networking, got me to meet a lot of people within the Arsenal community. A lot of you guys I know through Rich. Do you get me? And that all came through when I just started, and I met Rich and big up Laser and Fozzy as well. We had a show then, and then that's how I met Rich, and it all started from there. So yeah, big up, man. Big thank you to you as well, my brother, and everyone else in here for the support that you show and helping this channel grow in the community, because it is something I'm proud of, and it's something that, you know, these days they don't come often, but hopefully that they will. But now these days I'm forever grateful. Very grateful to the Lord, grateful for the support that you guys show, and the fact that I've got a community here that's just growing. And yeah, Vibe says, remember us when Hollywood take it. Hey, there's no Hollywood thing, man. Like, I would rather, as I've said it all before, man. As long as I can keep a good community, a good strong base, but like the people that are so respectful. We have different opinions, but respect each other, love to each other, and all of those things there. Yo, you guys are the real, man. So yeah, man, really do appreciate you all and love as always. Blessings, big up to everyone that's showing love here as well. Check it out, 5 o'clock on the channel, representing Arsenal. Yeah, and you'll see my reaction on that there. But people, I'm going to wrap it up here now. Love to you all. I hope that maybe that's the reason why I had a fresh trim. Maybe that is the reason. But I needed a trim anyway. So there was no caps or do-rags on every day. But now, love to you all, my people. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your evening, your night. If you are in the UK, get rested up, ready for a big week of content coming here on the channel and on other channels too. So love to you all. God bless and take care.